Hello everybody, my name is Master Eric Alders. I own the Karate Dojo MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Jackson, New Jersey, and today I wanted to mix things up a little for you. I know a lot of us are stuck at home trying to stay in shape, trying to learn something, trying to do something with our family and our loved ones, and sometimes we're looking for something different. You may have done martial arts in the past, maybe not. So what I want to do today is try to choose some fundamental techniques you could do by yourself, or if you have some people at home, you could do it with them as well. I don't want to choose any partner work because that may be difficult for us at this time. So I wanted to go over some fundamental basic techniques that some of us may have heard about in the past but maybe are not doing properly. So I want to show you the actual proper execution of these moves. In addition to that, I want to show you and talk to you about some ideas on how we can make a great workout out of this as well and make it a cardiovascular, aerobic and anaerobic workout in addition. Alright, so let's get right into it. Again, I'm going to take out the first portion of this video and make sure I go over some fundamental, basic technique ideas. One of my pet peeves is with cardio kickboxing out there. We've taught it in the past, but a lot of the places that are out there, unfortunately, are teaching this with not much martial arts experience. They often have an aerobics instructor get a short course and some fundamentals. The technique's incorrect, it wouldn't work in a real fight, and if you don't move your body properly, you can get hurt. So everything I'm going to show you is not only going to be utilized to get a good workout out of, but you're going to learn to utilize your proper power from a self-defense standpoint as you would if you were really doing martial arts or kickboxing for real. Now again, I teach ages 3 through adults. I take people that have no experience and get them all the way to a point where they can compete full contact in an MMA cage. Now, not everyone does that, but I've had several of my students that have competed at the highest level. So everything I'm going to show you is the same things I show them, but with some different ideas how with someone with no experience can also benefit from these techniques as well. And this goes for male or female, especially some of the guys I come across. They all think that they know how to fight. They think they know how to punch. If you had some training, that's great, but a lot of you don't. You've had maybe some street fights, and there's different levels to things, and obviously if you've not been trained on it, I guarantee you're going to pick up some great points from this video. So let's get right to it. First of all, let's talk about using a proper fighting stance. All right, now, typically if you're a righty or a lefty, you want to put your dominant leg to the rear to start, but I do encourage you to try to switch to both sides. Typically, right leg to the rear is called orthodox stance, and left leg to the rear is called southpaw. Nothing wrong with either, just what the names are. Now, to do a proper stance, I never want to be square like this, right? If I'm fighting you like this, and my chest and my stomach is exposed, I'm going to be in a lot of danger of getting hurt, plus I have no balance or foundation in my base to really resist you. So what I want to do is I want to get my feet about as wide as my shoulders, and then I want to step back about a shoulder distance as well. So my right leg's going to take a step back on a slight 45-degree angle here. Notice now that my front foot is going to be facing towards my opponent or towards you. My chest angles slightly to my right towards my back leg, okay? My back foot, toes, same as my chest. Now the reason I'm doing this is to slightly hide some of my body, right? The less of a target I am to you, the less opportunity you have to hit me. Now I have to do some more to protect myself. I'm going to get a proper fist first. Let's talk about that. 4 fingers, roll them down, hide your fingernails, thumbs on the outside. You're going to lock your hands as high as your ears and nose, elbows in tight to your ribs, tuck your chin down, and bend your knees slightly, okay? Right from this stance is where I want to be. Now my hands, in this case, are like my security system to my face, my fence. They protect all of my valuables here, right? If you think about a security system's goal for a home is to protect from intruders coming in to hurt your family or take your valuables. Same thing here, my valuables are going to be my eyes, my nose, my mouth, and so on. So I want to make sure if someone's trying to hit me, the most vulnerable parts to get hit on are below my eyebrows, right? My nose, my eyes, my mouth, my ears, my jaw. Above your eyebrows, where your brain is, of your skull, is very thick. The forehead, the top, and the back of the head up here is very strong. It's more likely that you're going to break your hand or someone's going to break their hand on that part of you. So if you have to defend yourself, keep this in mind. If you're to hit somebody, you always want to stay around and below the eyebrow line, okay? Not above. This is one of the reasons that in my defense, I make sure I don't just have my hands up with my face sticking out like this, because my face is still exposed. So what we do is we get the elbows tight to cover the ribs, we get that 45-degree turn, but I tuck my chin down also, hiding all those vulnerable parts behind my guard. Now, if you do get through and hit my forehead, again, better chance you're breaking your hand on my head, and I'm able to still continue defending myself. It'll sting a little bit, but there's a more chance that they're getting hurt and not you. So that's going to be the fundamental basics in the stance. I do want to try to get my back heel elevated. This will create a little spring in my step so that I can move quickly in different directions in the balls of my feet. You'll often hear commentators for a fight talk about the fighter being flat-footed, a telltale sign that they're getting tired. So if I'm just walking around normal, I'm not going to have the explosiveness to quickly move out of the way and counter-strike someone or take someone down. It's going to put me in a lot worse situation than if I have a nice light bounce to the feet but maintain my stance. Now fundamentally, let's talk about just moving around in this stance. Simple idea. If I move forward, I want to go front leg, back leg. Right? I don't want to just go with my front leg and stay here and leave my feet apart because I'm too wide and long in my stance. I'm going to lose my balance. If I get hit, I'm going to fall over. So you got to make sure your feet feel almost like they're connected by a string. So when one foot starts to step out, it kind of tugs the other leg. So I'm always maintaining the stance. If I go backwards, same thing. I'm going to go back leg, front leg. If I go to my right, no matter what leg's forward, right leg, left leg. To my left leg, right leg. Okay? You start to get your hands up and you can practice going forward, going back, going to your right, going to your left. No matter which stance you have forward, the rules still apply to make sure that I'm not crisscrossing my feet at all. That would put you in a very dangerous position if someone was to attack you at that time. So I have to always make sure if I'm moving around, stop. If you see your feet too close together, crossed or wide, you got to fix it. And you can challenge yourself by moving around the room in a variety of directions, forward, back, left, and right. And always make sure you're in the stance, and please make sure your hands are up at all times with that chin tucked down. Excuse me. So now, let's go over some fundamental basics. I can cover a lot, right? But to cover some fundamentals that we can start with, we're going to go over a little bit of some boxing and then some very, very basic kickboxing ideas so that you can not only learn how to develop your power to defend yourself with some of the striking done properly, but we'll talk about some ideas and how you can get a great workout with these ideas as well. So for boxing, in American kickboxing, Muay Thai, jab, punch, hook, and uppercut is a fundamental 4 strikes with your arms. Not everyone knows how to do them correctly, so let's break it down. We're going to call the jab, punch, hook, and uppercut also the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Starting with the number 1 or the jab. Now my jab is my lead hand, okay? And what I want to make sure I do is as that hand goes out, it goes palm down. My other hand stays glued to my face. So when this hand goes out, I don't want my other hand to drop down. A lot of beginners will make this mistake or let their arm hang here or touch their chest. It wants to be glued and locked, elbow in nice and tight, protecting in case anyone's coming around and try to kick me in the body, all right? So hands up. Now, all of my power, right, very important, comes from my shoulders and my hips turning and moving. Right now, I don't play other sports, but fundamentally you can grab the idea. If you're a baseball player, and I said, is this a home run swing? Obviously not. What do I got to do? I got to make sure I follow through, but what do I also do? I turn my hips and my shoulders. I'm getting up into the ball of my foot. I'm rotating my entire torso through. Or if you're a golfer, okay, I'm not going to drive the ball very far like this, right? I'm going to pivot my hip and my shoulder, get on the ball of my foot, rotate through as well, get a nice rotation of the body. Same with striking. If I just go like this and I'm swinging my arms around, it's honestly useless, all right? There's nothing behind that. No matter how much you weigh, you want to put your body weight behind it, right? So if I weigh 185 pounds, I don't want to hit you with my arm. That might be like 30 or 40 pounds. I want to hit you with 185 pounds, but I'm going to make contact with my hand, my knee, my shin, whatever device I use to deliver that power with. It's my body, in essence, that is behind its driving force. So for the jab, it's not a super strong hit, but it does wear your opponent down and has some very fundamental basic uses. My front foot, I'm going to elevate my heel a little bit, and as I jab, it's going to give me a little pivot. Now, I don't want to expose my shoulder, right? I don't want to go like this and show my back. I just want this little pivot, almost like you were squishing a bug or putting out a cigarette, okay? As my hand goes out, I pivot, and then when my hand comes back, we call that the recoil. I want to recoil twice as fast. Right? So if I jab out 20 miles an hour, I want to pull it back 40 miles an hour. That creates a crack like a whip. Right? So if you imagine if I had a whip in my hand, or even better yet, not everyone knows a whip. Think of this idea. And don't try it at home if you haven't done it. But some of us that have, uncles or brothers and sisters that have taken a towel out and cracked it on you before. If they had that towel, just think of this as a metaphor, and they just went out like this and pulled back, there's not going to be anything there, right? What would have to happen? They have to go out and snap the wrist back. That crack, that pullback, creates that pop. The same kind of idea with my arm. Now that whip is my body. Remember, martial arts is about utilizing our own body as a weapon, okay? So I go all the way out with my pivot and back, out and back. And now it's also important with anything to understand your breathing. You can't just hold your breath. Again, a lot of times when we're learning, we hold our breath. You need to make sure you exhale with each movement. So, I don't care what it sounds like, but exhale out of the mouth, inhales are through the nose. Now, as I'm practicing this, I want to start just getting kind of comfortable with it. The order in which we should learn is first your technique, really nailing down how to do and execute your technique properly. Then should develop speed after that. Technique, then speed, and then finally your power. A lot of times you do it once or twice, you think you're a rock star with it, and then you move too fast, too soon, and you develop bad habits. Practice does not make perfect. You need perfect practice. It's difficult to be perfect, but what I mean by this is, if I'm just saying, yeah, I practiced, I threw 1,000 strikes, you're going to be great at doing it horrible, all right? I have to take my time, do it properly, and then I'll develop the proper muscle memory to really use this technique to benefit me the most, all right? So a couple of quicker times, right? Again, I can move forwards and backwards and do all that proper movement. What else is the jab for? The jab helps me gauge distance between my opponent and I. Sometimes you'll see a wrestler reaching out and touch someone's head, right? Not only is it a distraction to set up takedowns, but if they could touch the person, they know they're close enough to grab a hold of them. Same thing here. If my jab can touch you, then so can my punch, my kick, and my takedown. So it judges my range for me. Also, it's a nice distraction to set up a stronger technique. So as I'm throwing the jab towards your head and you blink, or you raise your hands for a second, I'm trying to trick you as you're looking at that jab. If it hits you, great, but if not, I might be trying to follow up with a kick or an elbow or a knee, right, or a takedown. So again, just practice that jab a few times from a few different angles. You can try it with your right side forward, your left side forward, and really work on that snap out and back. Make sure the other hand's not dropping. Good pivot, good stance. All right, that's the number one. Number two is the punch. Now, a lot of people think they know how to punch. There's a lot of types of punches, Superman punches, overhand rights. We don't want to get crazy. We're going to go a straight punch or a cross right now, okay? Now, because it's coming from the rear side of my body, it's going to allow for more hip and shoulder movement, which means it's going to be stronger, right? So now, I want to actually get into my stance. I want to practice the legs first for you guys, right? I want to drop a little bit of the weight on my forward leg. So I get like a very light lunge where I'm locking this leg down. Then I'm going to pivot into the ball of my foot, turning my knee, then my hip, then my shoulder, almost like you're trying to reach out as far as you can and pivot your body and maintain good posture here. Head up. I don't want to lean or dip sideways. I want my head and my shoulders over my hips here, okay? And I'm actually using the floor to push and to drive. So the power should be coming from my body moving, then the arm, all right? A good way to explain this is think of if you've ever had a car stalled out and you had to push it or someone else had to push it. If they just got behind that car like this and just, it's not gonna go very well, right? What do you gotta do? You gotta get down, lower your base, dig your feet into the floor and really push and drive. Similarly, when I do this punch, it's actually starting from the root of my legs, my foundation. I'm digging my foot and I'm pushing, almost like I'm kicking down into the ground and really forcing my hip and my shoulder to come forward. That's where your power is going to come from, okay? Then your hand goes out, palm down, just like before, right? And then I'm going to recoil and bring it back. The other hand is going to stay at like home base. Like think about tag, home base keeps you safe. Again, this is my security system. When one hand goes out, the other's got to stay home to protect myself, right? As a trained fighter, guys, if my opponent's throwing a strike like this and they dip that hand for a second, it's very easy to get in on that shot, all right? It's very precise. You got to keep that guard up. By the way, while I'm on the topic, proper striking surface of your knuckles. you don't hit with your entire fist, all right? You don't use this part like you're knocking on a door. The peace sign, the pointer finger, the middle finger, all right? I want to use those two big knuckles right here, 1, 2. I don't want to use the ring finger or the pinky, as if I hit that part of my fist, my hand will break. Even fighters of mine, or professional fighters, guys, when they get their hands wrapped, and when you see a good hand wrap gun, it's almost like a small cast on that hand, super strong, and then get a glove on top of that. Even still, with all that protection, hitting the skull a few times, people break their hands. Right now, if you're going bare-fisted on somebody and you hit with the wrong part of your hand, there's a very good chance you're going to break it. So try to make sure we focus on those two large knuckles only, the pointer and the middle finger, okay? So again, I sit that weight down a little bit. Again, I don't have to go too low, but I don't want to be like super tall like this either, right? No power. So I'm going to kind of drop my level a little bit, turn my hip and shoulder strike, and pull it back, add my exhale to it. So from here. Okay, now that's a little bit more to the face. What if I want to go to the body, right? And if you want to activate and work your legs a little bit, I don't want to lean forward and punch. Like imagine like it's probably a really bad idea to go like this in a fight when someone's trying to punch kick you in the face, right? So instead I just level drop, almost like I'm in an elevator, straight down. Right, so from here I just bend my knees and then I punch to the body, okay? So you could level drop, and you can always practice striking down low and up and almost get like a nice little squat workout with either leg forward. And you can also practice, again, moving forward. You know, step with the front leg, throw the punch, step with the back leg. All right, you can move forward, move backwards. And also, you can start now that you know 2 strikes doing combinations. A combination is when you do 2 or more strikes in a row, okay? So just a jab or punch by themselves, not a combination, but if I do a jab punch, combination, right? So I can start practicing the jab cross or the famous 1-2, give them the old 1-2 punch, right? The jab sets up with the speed and the distance, the punch is delivering the power. That could be a jab to the head, a punch to the body, or both to the head. Again, turning, pivoting my heel. As this one recoils, the other one goes out. Almost imagine I have a string in my arm or a rope. I've wrapped it around a tree and I'm holding either side. If I pull one hand back, the rope's going to pull my other hand forward, and vice versa. So when one goes out, one pulls back, okay? Never both out at the same time. So again, if I'm just working that stationary or standing still, start slow, make sure your technique's good, make sure the hands aren't dropping, make sure you're breathing. And then you can start adding the speed a little more, or practice stepping and moving around, okay? Nice and light. Next up, I'm going to focus on working the third technique today. Is going to be the hook. Now you can do a hook with the lead arm or the rear arm, okay? Again, lead arm, less power, rear arm, more power. But you've probably seen people in street fights that don't know what they're doing throw these big, wide hooks like this. It's a horrible idea, don't do it. Bad technique. I see this coming from a million miles away, plus it does not make you stronger. I get the idea, you think if you're throwing something, you whip your arm back and throw it. But to me, it doesn't make sense to go backwards in order to come forward, especially with striking. Time is everything. A split second makes a difference, right? I'm not going to open up my door to leave the house, take 4 steps backwards, and then walk forward through the door, right? So think of it that way. I want to go from point A, my jaw, to point B, my target, and take no time in between. Now the hook comes around more, looking to strike the jawline and the ear, okay? Sometimes you might get a proper angle where you could hook the nose, but typically it's going to come to the side of the face, again below the eyebrow line. Now a little tip for you guys. 1, we tuck our heads down to protect our jaw and we bite down on our teeth to avoid getting knocked out. If you watch fights at all, you'll hear a commentator talk about the fighter's mouth is opened and they're in danger of being knocked out. You have to close your jaw because an open jaw, if someone's talking or breathing heavy, if you catch them right below the earlobe where the jaw connects here, it only takes about 10 or 15 pounds of pressure on that jawline while it's open to dislocate it, which is not a lot. And that's often where knockouts come from the ear and the jawline right over here, or the temple area, right, this whole side. So that's kind of where the hook's gonna go. Now for the hook, my fist is gonna be vertical like this, thumb up when I hit my target. So it'd be coming across the face like this. Now again, I don't wanna bring my arm back, so what do? The power in the pivot is the same pivot as the jab and the cross. But my elbow, as I pivot, is just going to elevate a little bit, thumb's going to come up, and as my body turns through, right, my hand at the last part of it, it's just going to come across a little bit. So it's mostly my body hitting you, right? My arm's kind of like locked into this position, comes across, and then my hand will have that quick follow through, and then I'm going to reset to my stance. Again, make sure you don't go too much and show your back. So here, hook, the rear hook with more power. Lead, rear, and the feet. And again, if you want to work your legs or practice hooks to the body, level drop. Don't go like this. Right? Not a good idea. This whole part of my face is open. Instead, my body drops down and I hook. Body drops down and I hook. All right? So now you have a 1, a 2, and a 3. Jab, punch, and hook. All right? Let me go to number 4 before we talk about more combos. Number 4, uppercut. Now, back in the day, there was an old cartoon called Popeye, and it's a horrible example of an uppercut. He used to take his hand and drop it straight down and way up in the air. Bad idea. Remember, wherever my hands go, my head has to follow. So as I bend my knees, I don't want my hand to drop and lift. Again, I get hit. So good technique is if my hands are going to go down, my head's going to go with it. Now the idea of the uppercut is to pop my face up. Right? My opponent's got him locked in, his face locked in and protected. So if you notice between my elbows, even in a good stance, there's an opening right here. The uppercut wants to go through this opening, find the jawline, pop the head open so it can get hit from the front or the side. So what I'm trying to do is bend my knees, roll my shoulder in, palm facing me, back of my hand to their chest line, and my legs is where the power comes from. I'm going to lift into the shot, and then my hand will go jaw to forehead. Okay? So I bend, roll, and I hit. So again, leads, rear. Okay? You don't have to go crazy and go all the way down here. A little dip just to get underneath. Okay? So it's a very fundamental, I can go into more details, but again, moving forward, back, start slow, then add your speed to it. Make sure you're breathing. It's common to hold your breath when you're learning. So make sure you breathe, take your time. If you need a second, okay? Now, with just those 4, very basic, fundamental martial arts 101, boxing 101 strikes, you can come up with some great combinations and drills here. So I want to give you one that I love to teach the students because it teaches them to constantly get comfortable with this pivoting and twisting of their body. It gets their hand coordination a little bit faster to let their mind relax so the body can move a little quicker. And it also allows them to practice all 4 combinations in a row, and you get a great workout from it as well. So what is the drill? We're going to do a 1, 2, 3, and 4 as the lead of the combination. We're going to do 3 strikes in a row. We're going to go through all 4 strikes as the lead, so we're going to have 12 strikes in a row, all the same ones, alternating, okay? Now it's important that you, again, take your time, try to get the memorization of this down. Take your time with it. Combo number 1. Jab, punch, hook. We're a 1, 2, 3, right? So combo 1 starts with a 1. Jab, punch, hook. Notice it's going left, right, back and forth. Always forcing one shoulder to come forward. The other one is loaded with my hips so that my hips can come back and forth each time. So I have the number 1, jab, punch, hook. Okay, start slow. Make sure the hands are going from the face out and returning to the face. No dropping, no scooping of the arms at all. Combo 2 starts with a 2 or a punch. So now it's going to go punch, hook, punch, or the numbers 2, 3, 2. So like this now. Punch, hook, punch. Okay? These are all legitimate combinations that work great, by the way, in live fighting. But here we go. Punch, hook, punch. Okay? Combo 3. Hook, punch, hook. We're 3, 2, 3. Hook, punch, hook. It's kind of like the last combo, different order. Hook, punch, hook. 3, 2, 3. Combo 4, guess what? Starts with a 4, the uppercut. We'll start with my rear uppercut, 4, 3, 2. What's that? Uppercut, hook, punch. Okay? So I get the basics of this down. Right? Take your time. When you go slow, it's a little easier. As you speed up, it's going to get challenging. So when you start to add your speed, if it's getting sloppy, and you may not think it's sloppy, but if you want to record yourself, it's a great tool to videotape yourself, watch it back, and you can take a look at your technique, your stance, and so on. Okay? Or if you're dropping your hands. But go to a speed that you can maintain your technique, and then keep challenging yourself to go a little faster, moving forward, back, and also by trying it at different level drops. You can try a whole round just in a squat moving around, okay? And again, making sure that we're breathing, pivoting the hips and the shoulders. So the order would be like this, all 12 in a row. Go slow a few times. 1, 2, 3, reset. 2, 3, 2, reset. 3, 2, 3, reset. 4, 3, 2, reset. Okay? Okay? This is a fun little combination. You can get all 12 of those going in a row. Take your time. Great way to mix them all up. You can mix your order up any way that you want, but always make sure that you're getting all those fundamental basics that we covered. Feel free to rewatch that as often as you need to in case you missed any details, or of course, reach out to me. Happy to answer any questions. Let's get some legs going now, right? So, like the jab and the punch, fundamental technique with my legs is something called a front kick. So with this, I don't want to kick just up. My knee's going to come up to my chest, okay? It's a kick that would go to the torso, midsection, ribs, chest. Yes, I can kick you in the face, but majority of the time, it's a body kick. My knee wants to elevate up nice and high. Then I'm going to kick out with the ball of my foot, recoil my heel, and then place my leg down. I'm not going to want to kick and fall into the position. I'm going to want to kick, control my step. Now the lead leg is often called the snap kick because like my jab, it's about distance and speed, not as much power. Where my rear leg is often called the thrust kick. It's a little bit more push of my hip or thrust of my hips to develop a little more power, like almost going to skewer somebody, like a shish kebab going right through them here, okay? So my knee wants to come up, hands stay up, right? Don't want to drop, I don't want to kick like this. So my knee comes up nice and high, kick and thrust here. Take your time, make sure the leg goes all the way out, recoils, steps down with control. All right, now a good way to develop the ball of the foot is if you sit down, point your toes as far as you can, okay? And then just curl your toes back. So, point your feet, just the toes back, not the whole foot. I want to hit with the ball of my foot, not my toes, because if I hit with my toes, you're going to break your toes. And again, take your time with that. Snap the legs, you can move around, and now think about it. Take some of your strikes and add it, right? Jab, punch, front kick. Front kick, jab, punch. Hook, punch, front kick, and so on. You can mix and match these in an unlimited amount of ways, okay? So, we'll go over some more exercises with that in a second. Let's go over the knee. Knee is nice and easy, but often done wrong. So when I hit with my knee, I don't want to have my foot dangling out here. I want my heel nice and tight to my hamstring. So my knee's going to lift up. I'm going to get onto the ball of my foot and get a little extra lift or push or elevation so my knee can go on a diagonal up into my target. If my leg dangles out like this, there's a good chance my opponent can grab it and take me down with like a single leg takedown or so on. So from here in this position, I got my front knee and my rear knee. Again, I'm not here. And there's times with a partner I might grab onto their head and pull a knee like a Muay Thai clinch, but since we're doing it by ourselves, just the basics, right? Knee and knee. Knee and knee. Heel nice and tight. That's an easy one, don't want to waste a lot of time on it. Do want to cover roundhouse kick though, something that's done in a lot of cardio kickboxing classes. Horrible technique, legs going all kinds of ways. So let's go over it the right way, okay? So think of your roundhouse kick as like a baseball bat swing to the ribs, the legs, or the head. Now one, striking surface are my shin bones, nice, strong, sharp bone. I don't want to kick you or a target or a bag, especially a person, with my foot. All right, the foot bone there, the top of that growth plate, 10, 15 pounds of pressure, again, that could crack, right? So I don't want to do that. I'm going to use my shin bone to deliver a little more power and to make sure I stay safe. So I'm going to have to make sure my toes are pointed when I kick so I expose my shin and not my toes themselves. Now, for fundamental positions, whatever leg I lift up in a moment, which I'll show you, the other leg I'm going to call the supporting leg. Now, when I kick, that heel on the floor has to pivot forward. So if you keep the weight on the ball of the foot, the heel will turn. Reason is as I start throwing this kick, if my foot stays planted on the ground as I kick, there's this constant twisting on my ankle and knee. It's not only going to cause you an injury, there's not going to be any power in your kick if you're actually trying to hit a target or trying to defend yourself. I have to make sure that my heel, if you look down to the ground here as I'm kicking, my heel will pivot. So as I throw the leg, the heel pivots and then comes back. Now leg positioning. Think about your leg lifting up on the side on a shelf, or for the kids I'll joke and say think of a male dog peeing on a tree. They always get a nice laugh out of that one. So I take my leg, heel tucked to my rear end and my hamstring, and I want to elevate my leg almost like it's on a shelf like this here, okay? With my knee facing in. As my heel's pivoting, I'm going to extend my leg, hit with my shin, recoil my heel, and then place it down. That's for my front leg. Rear leg is the same thing, but there's a lot more movement because of all the hip and shoulders turning. Knee will come up, the shoulder will turn. I have to hold my knee up and bring it back. So again, slow motion. Elevate the knee, not up here. Turn it down, right? Especially if we're just practicing to the body. As I pivot around, I kick, I recoil, I hold it, and I place it back down behind me. Again, I don't want to kick and drop it. If it's at this height, I want to kick, bring it back to that same height, and then down. So sometimes in class we'll put targets or bags next to them, like about hip height. They have to lift their leg up, kick over the target, and back without knocking the target over. That way you don't get lazy and kick, and then drop it down low. If it lifts up high, it's got to stay up high on the way back. So again, the roundhouse kick with the shin, leg, body, or head, depending on your flexibility. You can kick nice and low, right? Or a little bit more to the midsection if you'd like to. Rear one, again, you can go low, a little higher to the midsection. If you guys are flexible, you want to go to the head, that's fine, all right? Okay, so now you have a few of those combinations to add together. Let me go a little further before I break this all down for you. We're going to do one more thing, bobbing and weaving. Okay, so this is when we're doing a little defense. Someone's trying to swing at us, and we're trying to come underneath or roll with the punches where the expression comes from. So imagine someone swinging a hook, right, at the side of my head. As that hand's coming towards me, I want to go straight down, move into it as it passes over my head, and then up, down, over, and up. So it's also a great exercise on your legs. We'll get a little bit of a dip down. Now boxers sometimes will drop their face. I don't recommend it. In MMA, we have knees, chokes, a lot of trouble to worry about. So I always keep my eyes on my opponent, and when I level drop, it's like this. It's actually a great drill for it. Different kind of a squat, a leg forward, and you do like 10 to 20, 30, whatever you want. Level drops, okay? Coming down like this. Switch your stance, nice and slow. You want a faster challenge? Okay, I can keep mixing it. That level drop's important for striking and for takedowns. So when I bob and weave, it's like a tight U, all right? Like this, or like a half pipe. So I'm gonna go down, over, and up. Now again, I don't wanna see this a lot. Swinging your arms, like, don't wanna do that. Hands are in tight, elbows in tight. Goes back to the beginning of the video with the stance. Down and up. Okay? So this is bobbing and weaving. It's just a nice element to understand how you can move around and bob and weave. And also, if you see, when I bob and weave, one shoulder pulls back. So I can practice doing a bob and weave and coming back with a variety of strikes, right? Whatever side you're leaning towards, if I'm pivoted to my right side wants to come back, whether that's going to be a punch, a hook, an uppercut, a knee, a front kick, a round kick. If I bob and weave towards my left side, same thing. Hook, uppercut, right? Knee, round kick, front kick, whatever it may be. So you could start off, let's go through a few ideas of practicing. You could start off by working some basic strikes, just with your arms, practice the legs by themselves, and then start mixing and matching them together. Okay, to get some good ideas, you can even write them down if you like some combinations you've come up with. But some quick ideas, right? How you do jab, punch, bob and weave, punch, hook. Right? Jab, punch, knee. Change positions, bob and weave, uppercut, cross. Right? Any way that I want to mix and match this, I can just start doing what we call shadow boxing. Start nice and light, just moving around the room, staying in the stance, practicing the different positions that we've covered, a variety of the combinations. You could even double up if you want to keep working the jab at different levels, adding your kicks, then your combinations. Right? You can go in any speed or direction you want and mix and match it. Now, as you're practicing these drills, a great way to get yourself working is by going 15 seconds as fast as you can, 45 seconds at a comfortable speed. And I recommend starting at the comfortable speed first. 45 seconds light, 15 as hard as you can. So whether you have a timer on your phone or you have an app or someone's timing it for you and calling it out, either way, and then take anywhere from a 30-second to 1 minute rest in between rounds for 10 rounds. You do the same thing, or each round could be something different. Now, that's going to be a starting goal. As you get a little bit better, you're going to want to go 30 on and 30 off. So 30 seconds light, 30-second burst as fast as you can with good technique, of course. Take a minute off, same thing for 10 rounds. You're going to get a nice workout in 20 minutes, okay? And you're done very quickly, okay? So, for example, I might be working my jab, cross, hook, just my hands. Maybe I'm just focusing on my hands. The buzzer goes off or someone yells out, go. Now it's gonna be constant speed, no matter what drill I'm working. Even if I'm just going front kicks, keeping it that simple, then it can be fast front kicks, hands, popping, weaving, whatever it may be. Sorry, skateboards fell down. So it's important that you understand how to mix and match and create a workout out of it. Other things we could do. You want to get the legs going a little more, as I told about. We could squat. But let's say front kicks. I can get into not the best stance, but to really work a cool front kick drill and burn your legs out, hands up, get a real deep squat, and out of your squat as I lift up, left front kick, squat, right, I'm kicking as soon as I get up, squat, squat. Again, you try that for 15 or 30 seconds, slow and then fast. It's going to be a burner for sure. What else can I do? I could work my combinations in between. I could drop down, knock out a push-up, knock out 2 push-ups, come back to striking, adding the kicks, the elbows, the knees, whatever you'd like to do. So by adding in a push-up, by adding in these bursts of speed, by adding in the squats, or by changing up the different directions of the left and the right side forward, moving around, there's ways that you could find a workout that's set for your skill level and your cardiovascular shape, right? Don't want to push too hard, but it's good to know that as you develop and get better with this, you could challenge yourself to make it tougher and tougher, so it always can be difficult for you, even doing the same fundamental techniques, right? You gotta think about this. Professional fighters, it's not like there's a magic jab out there that only one person knows. They all know this, but whoever gets the most repetition in, has the best cardio, has the best reflexes and speed, the best muscle memory, is usually going to be the better fighter. So same fundamental ideas, but to be done at a high level, you have to experiment with a variety of ways of doing it between the different levels, the speeds, and the angles as well. Now don't forget breathing, obviously a very important skill as well, okay? So make sure you take your time. First, before you do the workout, make sure you're warm. Don't go 100 miles an hour right away. Maybe start off with some jumping jacks, some squats, move around, maybe get a nice little bounce going, get a light sweat, maybe a light stretch, and then go into it. Same thing at the end, cool down. Don't just get this great workout and sit on the couch, your heart's gonna be racing. Take your time, take a nice deep breath in, especially if you're, it's not a good way to breathe. Take your time, control the breathing, don't let the breathing control you. Deep breath in. Hold it, out slow. You want to try to fill your lungs completely, hold it, and exhale slow. All right? Again, get a nice cool down stretch in the arms, the legs, grab some water. And again, this is a fundamental basic idea on just a few positions, but I wanted to kind of correct some technique flaws, teach you how to utilize your power more, give you some ideas on how you could change up and mix and match these combinations a million different ways. How you can get a great workout, something different maybe that you haven't done before, get your family up off the couch and do something different. And again, not only is it aerobic and a great muscle toning skill, but it's something that this is actual technique. And of course, it needs more development, needs more work. There's plenty more to show you. Unfortunately, we're closed right now, but feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer your questions. I'm doing some Zoom classes and some private lessons as well online if you'd like to reach out to me. The website is tkdojo.com. Again, Eric Alders, the Karate Dojo, wishing you and your family health and peace during this time. I hope this all gets behind us soon, and together we're going to come out of this stronger. Hope you enjoyed today's class. Give it a shot, and listen, if you do it, or you have any questions, but especially if you try this out yourself or your family, I would love to see some of your videos and pictures, okay? So go on to the website, send them to me via email. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook, Eric Alders or Eric G. Alders, A-L-D-E-R-S. You can find me all over there, the Karate Dojo MMA Jiu-Jitsu. Shoot me a direct message. I'd love to repost that on our social media, all right? Until then, thank you for your time. Whoos.